If you're someone who hates Rolex, you're not alone. The waitlist, the hype, the flex culture. It's enough to make real watch lovers roll their eyes. But what if I told you Rolex actually makes watches that anti-Rolex people fall in love with? Because buried under all the hype are 5 models and 1 shocking new release that prove Rolex still cares about purpose, not just prestige. I want to talk about the watch brand that everyone loves to hate, the one that's become a symbol of hype, the brand that for a lot of watch enthusiasts has become a total turnoff. Most people believe that if you want to get into Rolex today, you have to play a rigged game. You have to wait years, pay a massive premium, or settle for a watch engineered for the secondary market instead of the wrist. But what if the brand you've written off actually makes some of the most subtle, nuanced, and genuinely interesting watches on the planet? After years of studying this brand, I found that the best Rolexes for people who don't like Rolex are hiding in plain sight. Watches that speak softly and carry a big history. In this video, I'm going to show you some incredible Rolexes that are so anti-Rolex, they just might make you a believer. Stay with me because there's one new model that has a feature Rolex has never used before in over a century of watchmaking. Let's talk about what's actually happening in luxury watch culture. There's this fascinating shift where objects stop being valued for what they are and start being valued for what they signal about status. The more a brand becomes about signaling wealth, the less appealing it becomes to genuine enthusiasts who care about craftsmanship. Before Rolex became synonymous with waitlist, it was a brand built on innovation and purpose. When Mercedes Gleitze swam the English Channel in 1927 wearing a Rolex Oyster, it wasn't for show. It was a test of genuine waterproofing technology. When Sir Edmund Hillary conquered Everest in 1953, his Rolex wasn't a status symbol. It was a survival tool. Today, we're going to rediscover that Rolex, the one that exists beyond waitlist and hype culture. First up is the perfect antidote to the modern sports watch obsession. The Rolex Explorer 36mm reference 124270. Not the massive version that feels like a hockey puck, the slim 11.5mm case with compact 44mm lug-to-lug dimensions. This watch embodies a fascinating contradiction. It packs legendary Rolex build quality, bulletproof caliber 3230 movement, 70-hour power reserve, 100-meter water resistant, yet feels like a vintage field watch. Unpretentious, the polished bezel doesn't demand attention, it simply exists. This is what you'd wear on a quiet Sunday afternoon hike when you don't want your wrist becoming a conversation piece. What makes the Explorer special for people who typically avoid Rolex is its genuine purpose. It was never conceived as a luxury item. The modern 36mm version honors that heritage with its restrained proportion and balanced dial. The perfect symmetry with out-of-date window, the chromolite blue lume that glows through the night, the glossy black lacquer dial that catches light without drawing attention. These elements create something for those who value quiet achievement over ostentatious display. When Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay reached the summit of Everest in 1953, the watches they wore helped birth the Explorer line. Imagine the oxygen-thin air, the lethal cold, the final steps to a place no human had ever stood, and there, a watch keeping perfect time. The Explorer wasn't born in a marketing meeting, it emerged from one of humanity's greatest achievements. Look at how the 369 numerals balance perfectly against the negative space. The proportions so precise, they create a visual harmony few watches achieve. That polished bezel doesn't announce itself, it simply frames the dial like quiet confidence frames a true leader. Choosing the Explorer over a Sub or Daytona says you value achievement over attention, history over hype, purpose over prestige. The Oyster Perpetual 36mm reference 126000 represents Rolex at its most essential. In a market obsessed with attention, this watch thrives on restraint. With its 36mm diameter, slender 11.5mm profile, and compact 44mm lug-to-lug, it has the perfect proportions for nearly any wrist. It's Rolex with the volume turned down, way, way down. What you're looking at is a masterpiece of minimalism. The symmetrical dial with its applied hour markers and 18-karat white gold hands catches light brilliantly. The smooth, unadorned bezel feels pure, almost architectural. The design language is so refined, it resembles something from the Bauhaus School of Design. There's one design choice here that Bauhaus purists might question: the crown logo at 12 o'clock. This tiny concession to branding creates the perfect tension between pure design and identity. Most people wouldn't even recognize it as a Rolex, and that's precisely its charm. The 100 meters of water resistance and screw-down crown give it everyday practicality without compromising its elegant profile. The Oyster Perpetual name reveals its secret weapon. It contains the two greatest inventions in Rolex history. This watch descends directly from the 1926 Oyster, the first truly waterproof wristwatch, and the 1931 Perpetual Rotor, the world's first successful self-winding movement. The caliber 3230 inside offers chronometer-certified precision with a 70-hour power reserve. By choosing this model, you're not buying into modern hype, you're embracing the foundational genius of Rolex. In 1927, when Mercedes Gleitze attempted to swim the English Channel wearing a Rolex Oyster, she emerged after over 10 hours of frigid water with her watch still keeping perfect time. It wasn't a marketing stunt, it was proof that waterproofing could be achieved in a wristwatch. The simple dome of that smooth bezel creates a play of light unlike almost any other watch. As it catches the sun, it creates a perfect crescent highlight that slides across the surface, a minimalist canvas where restraint becomes the ultimate expression. Wearing an OP says you understand that true luxury isn't about complexity, it's about perfecting simplicity. So far, these watches have been about refined minimalism. But what if you don't like Rolex because you think their designs are too conservative? What if you want something with character? Meet the Airking reference 126900. This dial is unconventional. The minute track in large numerals, it's asymmetrical and distinctive. At 40 millimeters with a 100-meter water-resistant case and robust movement, it's a technical showcase wrapped in eccentric design, and that combination is its greatest strength. The Airking stands as the only Rolex with a genuine sense of humor. With its caliber 3230 movement and twin-lock crown system, it delivers all the precision you'd expect, wrapped in an unexpectedly playful aesthetic. The green seconds hand, paired with the only yellow gold crown in the Oyster Perpetual family, gives this dial a signature no other Rolex carries. This isn't a watch for someone seeking a status symbol, it's for those who appreciate distinctive design. The reason this watch breaks convention is its heritage as a tribute piece. The original Airking emerged in the 1940s to honor British Royal Air Force pilots who selected Rolex watches over their standard issue timepieces. The dial draws inspiration from cockpit instruments, and the modern version preserves that function-first DNA. During World War II, RAF Spitfire and Hurricane pilots would often replace their standard issue watches with personally purchased Rolexes. Not as luxury items, they were precise instruments that pilots trusted with their lives during combat missions. The Airking was born to honor these aviators who chose Rolex on merit, not mandate. Examine the asymmetry of those numerals. It creates a visual energy that captures the dynamic nature of early aviation instruments. The green and yellow accents aren't arbitrary, they're the colors of the Rolex crown, marking this as the only Rolex to break its own design rulebook. Selecting an Airking reveals you embrace contradiction. You desire technical excellence combined with visual distinctiveness. Okay, so we've seen Rolex can be understated and distinctive, but for the true cynic, a question remains. Is Rolex still innovating? For years, the answer was no, but that changed in 2024. I'm talking about the new Land Dweller, specifically the steel references 127234 and 127334. At 40 millimeters with a 9.7 millimeter thickness and integrated bracelet design, this watch is not what anyone expected from Rolex. This isn't just a new dial design or incremental update, it's a statement of intent. Let's talk specifics. The Land Dweller features the brand new caliber 7135 movement that runs at 5 Hertz or 36,000 vibrations per hour. That's a high beat movement, the kind typically found in a Zenith or Grand Seiko. Revolutionary for Rolex, and it's their first movement over 4 Hertz. It's engineered for exceptional performance, capable of measuring time to 1/10 of a second. To top it off is the Sapphire Exhibition caseback. You can actually see the movement. This rare departure joins the recent 1908 and Platinum Daytona in offering a view of its mechanical heart. The architecture is visible with its meticulous Côte de Genève decoration, balanced bridge design, and intricate gear train. What makes this ideal for the Rolex skeptic is how it connects to an overlooked chapter in the brand's history. The integrated bracelet design deliberately references the Rolex Oyster Quartz date-just and day-date models from the 1970s. That watch represented Rolex's response to the quartz crisis, a bold, angular design that demonstrated Rolex was not afraid to reinvent itself during challenging times. The Land Dweller inherits this adventurous spirit. This isn't Rolex playing it safe. This is Rolex experimenting again. The view through the Sapphire caseback reveals something many thought impossible: Rolex embracing transparency, both literally and philosophically. The Côte de Genève striping flows like ripples across the bridges, demonstrating that Rolex cares about artistic finishing even in areas they've historically concealed. Choosing the Land Dweller signals you're forward-looking. You appreciate innovation over nostalgia. Now, the Land Dweller represents Rolex's future, but what if you want a classic dress watch from Rolex? Something that feels like an old-school gentleman's timepiece, not a modern status symbol. The Rolex 1908 reference 52508 answers that call perfectly. At 39 millimeters with a slender 9.5 millimeter profile and a 47 millimeter lug-to-lug span, it offers ideal proportions for a dress watch. This creation flies completely under the radar, replacing the Cellini line as one of the most overlooked watches in the entire Rolex catalog. The 1908 exemplifies what a true dress watch should be. The case features a graceful contour with its thin profile. The bezel is elegantly curved with a softness that feels sculpted rather than machined. The lacquer dial with its applied indice catches light subtly, never harshly. With 50 meters of water resistance, automatic caliber 7140 with silicone hairspring, exhibition caseback, and 72-hour power reserve, it offers substance beyond its refined appearance. The name itself represents the strongest case for this watch. It's called the 1908 because that's when Hans Wilsdorf officially registered the Rolex name in Switzerland. This timepiece represents a return to the brand's founding principles. The silicone hairspring inside demonstrates that traditional aesthetics can still incorporate modern technology, making a compelling case for those who appreciate Rolex's heritage but prefer discreet sophistication over recognized branding. Observe those hands as they sweep across the railroad minute track, a deliberate nod to pocket watch design from the actual year 1908. The subtle dome of the dial creates dimensionality without excess. This represents watchmaking that communicates refinement rather than trends. Before Rolex became associated with waitlist, it represented tools and milestones. Vintage Rolex models weren't created to be noticed, they embodied authentic purpose. These timepieces were designed for people who cared about the story behind their watch, not its price tag. Consider the Submariner 5513, the GMT-1675, or the distinctive Oyster Quartz. These pieces represent an entirely different design philosophy with more refined proportions, often 36 to 40 millimeter cases with elegant lugs and balanced thickness. The dials feature minimal text, focusing on function rather than specification. What makes vintage Rolex appeal to the skeptic collector is their authenticity. The plexiglass crystal may show scratches, the aluminum bezel may have faded to ghostly blues and reds, and the lume might have patinaed to a warm honeytone. These aren't flaws, they're character marks that document experiences. The Submariner 6538, worn by Sean Connery in early Bond films, wasn't product placement. It was Ian Fleming writing his own watch into the character. When Bond checks his heavy Rolex Oyster Perpetual in the novels, it served as both a timekeeper and improvised weapon. The watch wasn't an accessory, it was an extension of his character. The GMT-Master 1675, worn by Pan Am pilots during commercial aviation's golden age, wasn't a luxury item. It was a navigation instrument that enabled pilots to track multiple time zones during transatlantic flights. The iconic red and blue Pepsi bezel wasn't designed for aesthetic appeal. It distinguished day from night for pilots crossing time zones. The magic of vintage Rolex lies in its era, when the brand's identity centered on achievement and exploration rather than status and exclusivity. So there you have it. The revelation isn't that Rolex is fundamentally flawed. Rather, the most publicized Rolexes poorly represent the brand's authentic history and design philosophy. The right Rolex can transform your perspective, helping you recognize that a brand often dismissed as purely commercial still maintains passion and purposeful design. If you're tired of the watch industry's hype machine and want more honest takes like this, we've built something special at thewatchbros.com. Our member community gets access to monthly giveaways with watches that actually matter, exclusive videos where we talk about things we can't always say on YouTube, plus direct access to us through one-on-one calls. Membership starts at just $2 a month. Don't forget to follow Mike on Instagram. His watch shots are some of the best in the game. I keep coming back to one big question. What if the whole luxury watch market is just a bubble waiting to burst? If you're curious where that conversation leads, hit subscribe and join us. Here's what I really want to know though. If you've always dismissed Rolex, which watch from this list would actually make you reconsider? Drop a comment. I can't wait to hear if something won you over. Until then, wear in good health.